to Murf's Turf. This is a Star Trek Prodigy podcast. My name is Brent, aka Dad, and with me is the one and only Progeny himself, because I'm pretty sure that every parent who does a Star Trek Prodigy podcast with their child is referring to their child as Progeny, and I am no different. So here's mine, Jude. Say hi, Jude.
Say hi, Jude.
Say hi, Jude.
Say hi, Jude.
Hi, Jude.
Hi, Jude.
Hi, Jude.
Hi, Jude.
That's going to become one word. Hi, Jude.
It's going to become one word. Hi, Jude.
Are you copying me?
Are you copying me?
Oh. Oh, Jude, this is Star Trek's first kids show playing on Nickelodeon and on
Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus. Do you just want to do the whole intro?
No.
I would prefer it if you did, actually, because do you know what our listeners really want and what I really want?
Me.
More of you, way less of me.
Okay.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start the whole thing over. You're going to do it. You ready? Here we go.
No. Okay, no. I don't know. No. I don't know what to do.
It's not so easy, is it?
No. Well, you have the big computer right in front of you and have like, okay, hi guys, this is what I'm going to say.
I do. It is scripted out. So let's return to the script as we move forward here. I would like to say hello to all of our new and returning guests. We're very glad you guys are here with us. And Jude, today we're here to talk about episode 7 of Star Trek Prodigy. First, CON-tact.
Yay.
And we're going to get into all that here in just a minute. But first though, just overall, yes or no, did you like the episode?
I did. Yeah, I did. It was much more easier to take notes on.
Okay. But outside of taking notes, you just enjoy it as a piece of television?
Yeah,
there you
I just
go.
liked it.
All right, well,
I just liked the show.
We're going to dive into all of that. Of course you did, because it's Star Trek Prodigy, and Star Trek Prodigy is awesome, and Murf is in it.
I know.
Now, Jude, did you know something?
Did I know what?
Did you know that you are the one who is completely in charge? I have nothing to do with it. You are completely in charge of how and when our episodes are released.
Really?
Yes, because you see on our Twitter account that I told you guys about like last week, right?
Yeah.
There's a spot when you do a podcast, you have a Twitter account, there's a spot in the profile that says new episodes on whatever day you release a new episode. Ours, however, if you go there, it says new episodes as soon as Jude finishes his homework. So it's really up to you how often our new episodes come out. Which in the biz, Jude, just so you know, that's what we call a segue.
A gabba.
No, a segue, because we're going to segue into talking about our brand new Twitter account. It's just a way to bring up the idea of a Twitter account. Jude, what is our Twitter address where people can get in touch with us if they want to talk to us?
Turf Pod.
At Murf's Turf Pod. You're absolutely right.
I'm getting better at this.
You're doing so good, buddy. You're doing so good. People can tweet at us. They can, what the phrase is, DM means direct message. It's like a private little message through Twitter. You guys could do that. Those are open. You guys can do that. There's another way that people get in touch with us, Jude. How can they do that besides Twitter?
Leave a review.
Oh, very good. A rating and review. I have seen the ratings begin to pour in, but we don't have any reviews yet. So, let's get on it. We would love to receive those reviews. We'll read them right here. There's one more way people can get in touch with us if they want.
Murf's Turf Prodigy Podcast.
Nope. It's our email address. Try it again. It's Murf's Turf Podcast at
gmail.com.
Very good. Very good. See, one of these, I'm not even gonna have to I'm just gonna be like, Jude, you're taking care of that whole segment and you're just gonna run with it. More of you, less of me. Okay, here we go. All right, Jude, why don't we get in? Let's talk about Star Trek Prodigy, episode 7. First, CON-tact. Because that's how it's not first contact, it's first CON-tact.
Contact.
You know why it's first CON-tact?
Why is it first contact?
Well, because Nandi and this whole thing she does, she's doing what's called a con. She's fooling them into stuff, trying to do something else. So it's a con. This is the first contact. This is very different than the con that Captain Kirk spewed back in Wrath of Khan.
What?
Yeah, don't worry about it. Listen, that was a shout out to the
Genghis
adults.
Khan?
No, his name was Noonian Con. Noonian Con Noonian Singh. Yeah, that was it. Con Noonian Singh. Anyway, that's for the oldies. That's for the old fogies like me.
You?
Yep, just like me. Fair warning to everybody. This is a spoiler-filled podcast. So if you're listening beyond this point, we're going to assume that you have already seen this week's episode of Star Trek Prodigy. In this case, episode 7, first CON-tact. So fair warning, final warning from this point forward, spoilers ahead. Jude.
Yes.
Tell us what the episode was about. Give us the recap.
You're going to say recap.
Because potty humor is funny no matter how old you are. Go ahead, Jude.
So the protostar is traveling along after it got out of the proto drive, I think.
Yeah, they did the big proto jump. They went like 4,000 light years in the future. Yep.
Yeah.
Or not future, but just away in space. And
they come across a ship that has Nandi, which was Dal's like orphanage ship thing. And as Nandi lies to Dal about she's been gambling and she's lost a whole lot of money and she needs one of these crystals from this planet that has not encountered alien species. And so she wants to trade as a gift for a Ferengi spit pan. What the heck is that?
You're doing great, Jude. Go ahead, buddy.
And she wants to trade the Ferengi spit pan for one of the crystals. And as the aliens give them a song instead of one of the crystals, she gets really mad and takes more than one crystal. Although the crew gets to get all of them but one, as Nandi goes back to her cloaked ship when she stole chimerium from the protostar. Dal finds out that she sold Dal to the diviner to find a new partner. And as Dal catches up to Nandi, he puts a little, his badge thingy.
His comm badge.
Badge on the crystal. So when Dal gets back to the ship, they are able to take the crystal and transport it back to where it was. And now the team is kind of falling apart. Like they don't trust each other because Dal keeps lying, or they don't trust Dal because Dal keeps lying.
Do they though?
I don't know.
Because don't we have that conversation between Dal and Gwen there at the end where she says, hey, at least you know who your real friends are, who'll stick through you even when you make really stupid decisions. Now, hologram Janeway is pretty disappointed in them.
Yeah.
You know, and you're right. This episode ends on a very like sad note. Like there's no like everybody hugging saying, hey, it's okay, we'll try again next time or anything like that. It's just hologram Janeway basically yells at Dal and everybody's like, oh, that sucks. and
then
they go away.
Like, I retreat. Bye-bye.
Yeah. And then, you know, Gwen tries to comfort Dal, but that doesn't seem to do any good. And then turns out Nandi finds out about the diviner looking out for the protostar, and she's going to sell him out, or try to anyway, right? And that's where the episode ends.
I mean, that's kind of impossible because they can have the proto drive. They can just keep running away, or they could use their phasers and pew pew button. You
know what, Jude? I'm going to tell you, I know doing the recap's a little nerve wracking for you. You're really good at it.
Thank you.
No, you shouldn't be scared to do them. You're really good at them, man. Good job. Yeah. So that's really what happened. Now, I asked you earlier if you liked this episode and you went, yeah. So why don't you talk to us about some of your favorite moments from this episode, or why did you like this episode? Maybe what didn't you like? Like, go ahead, talk about the episode. What do you got?
Okay. My beginning with favorite moments. The beginning, the intro.
As always, because it's beautiful. The music is amazing.
The music is beautiful. I love when Dal did the captain's log thing. And I like the teleporting thing, the transporter. I like that.
Floor pie.
Yeah.
It's like, it's still hot.
Yeah, and Murf is like, they transport Murf, and he goes out, and he's supposed to be on the bridge. He's on top of the bridge. And then he's just like slowly going down. And then you hear a little like some weird Murf voice. And then Zero's like, oh, he never stops, does he?
So we're inside the protostar and we're looking out and we're seeing Murf on the other side of the glass. And you know, all I could think about in that moment was from the Jungle Cruise at Disney World.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the eighth wonder of world, the bottom side of Murf.
That'd be cool.
Anyway, yeah. So you know what I found interesting about the teleporting thing is they were teleporting people or things, objects, and they really weren't sure where they were going. Like they would just teleport them and then they'd use like their little Ghostbusters looking tricorder thing
Ghostbusters
to like track them down and figure out where they went. You know, it's like, maybe you should know where you're sending them before you press that button or slide the fader or whatever. Yeah. What else did you have for this episode?
Murf barked when he got back. He was like, Murf. Did you not hear that?
I didn't hear a bark.
What? No, Okay. So, if anybody did, it was kind of like a bark Murf noise, kind of. It wasn't a full bark like dog. It's kind of like a meow bark Murf sound.
Cool. I believe that guy's name is Bradley D. Baker, I want to say is his name. He's the guy who does the voice for Murf, or the sounds, I guess, for Murf. I've seen him like just do it like as he's recording. And it's pretty neat. Yeah, and
Nandi's ship is Klingon, right?
No, it's Ferengi.
Ferengi.
Yeah, let's talk about Ferengi for a minute, Jude. And I'm sorry if we may be going just a little bit, but this is kind of old school Trekkie stuff. Now, have you encountered Ferengi before? I know sometimes you watch Star Trek with Dad, but you know, the Ferengi are an old species that we know very well from people who've watched Star Trek for a long time.
I mean, the only place where I've really gotten to like look at them is in the baseball Deep Space Nine game.
Oh yeah, when we did that episode. Yeah, we did that episode. So those are the Ferengi. What do you think of the Ferengi? So Nandi's your first real introduction to that species.
They're scary. Their bites look scary.
Oh, their teeth? Yeah, their teeth are all sharp and craggly. Yeah. Yeah. What else?
They have a butt head. Literally. You can say, hey, butthead, come over here.
How about to draw a line down the middle of your head so it looks like a butt? Okay. That's fair. It does look like a big old booty on their head, for sure.
Yeah. Their skin is orange.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
So can I tell you, something that we see here.
They're big liars.
Well, their main driving focus is a word called acquisition. They want to acquire, which just means get stuff. Their whole thing is getting stuff, getting money, getting things, you know, and Nandi certainly is no different. She's all about acquiring stuff. She quotes something called the Ferengi rules of acquisition. We get two of them. One of them was don't let friendship come before profit. And the other one was something else. I don't remember. But anyway, yeah. So they have this whole like list of rules of like, it's supposed to tell them how they behave. And, you know, they put profit above everything else. Profit is the money that you make.
Yeah, I know that.
So they have that. But here's something that's different though. Okay.
Yeah.
Part of the Ferengi culture and customs that we have come to know over the years is in their culture. And remember, cultures are different.
Yeah.
In their culture, women are not like allowed to do anything really.
What?
Yeah. Like they're not allowed to like leave the home. They're not supposed to talk to men. They're not supposed to gain anything. They're not supposed to get wealth. They're not even supposed to wear clothes.
Ew.
I know. It's their culture. It's the way they do.
Weird.
It is.
Ferengi.
So
weird.
the idea that we see Nandi as a female who has her own ship and she's wearing clothes and she's using the title of Daemon, which is the Ferengi word for captain. Like, I don't know if that means that Ferengi culture has changed.
Also remember, this is a kid's show.
It is a kid's show, but it still exists within the greater Star Trek universe. They're not rewriting the Star Trek rules for the kids show. So maybe
she's just like, screw your culture. I want to go do stuff.
She could be. It could be that the Ferengi culture is still what we adults would know it to be. And that's why she's over in the Delta Quadrant. She stole something. She stole the ship and she ran away to go do her own thing, you know? But
have a little bread and put clothes around it as like a little orphan to like,
well, that's the con, right?
Ship. I'm going to steal everything.
That's the con, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any other favorite moments you want to talk about before we move on?
Oh yeah. I liked when Dow kept telling Gwen about like the window of dreams when he lived in the engine.
Yeah. And
he literally had a window with stars on the other side, like the window of dreams. And like Gwen's kind of mad at him, kind of. why? Why is Gwen kind of mad at him? Kind of a question, but like, why?
So you thought Gwen was mad at him in that moment?
Yeah. Like she kind of looked like confused, or maybe it was like a heh. Maybe it was a like I heard like some kind of noise that she made that might have been a happy noise or a disappointed noise, or
I mean, the way I interpreted it was she almost like felt sorry for Dal in this moment, or she just understood something about him she never did before. Because remember, like even when they were back on the mining planet, she and Dal clearly had some sort of a connection. Even back then. And so this just sort of shed light on what that's the way I took it. But I don't know, maybe she was mad at him or something, but it was neat. It was definitely neat to see Dal's bedroom growing up. Yeah. You know, and to have that callback, that's called a callback, right? The callback to, hey, the window of dreams. Oh, we're looking out at it into this area. And maybe this is how Dal knows a bit about this area of space and what's happening. So very good. Very good. Well, Jude, I got a couple of things for the Trekkies if you want me to tell you about them.
Sure, go ahead.
So one of the things on, I got to be careful how I say this. One of the things that was on Nandi's ship, is it was a thing. I want to say Rock Talk picked it up, or maybe it was Gwen and was looking at it. It was like a little statue thing when they first beamed over to her ship.
Oh yeah.
And I think in the end, Nandi actually threw the same little statue thing. Well, that statue is called a Horgon, which comes from the vacation planet, I shall say, of Ryza, which is like their little thing that they carry around, and it's a grown-up vacation place, right? Like it's not a place you want to take kids, but basically people would have these little statues, which are like, they'd be symbols to other people of like, hey, I want to play, you know, like, hey, I want to, let's make friends with people I don't know before. So it was.
I don't get it.
It's hard to explain. Anyway, just say it's a thing that's been in Star Trek before that they pulled out and like just dropped on her ship. So she's definitely from the Alpha Quadrant. She's definitely from that area. She also talked about when she got into trouble, like she got into debt at the Dabo tables. The Dabo tables are a gambling game.
Yeah, I thought
that the Ferengi like to play. Quark, who is a Ferengi on Deep Space Nine, who runs the bar, he has Dabo tables in his bar, and that's a big piece. So yeah, so they call out to the Dabo tables. But the other big one, and this is a big one, and this is something that you need to know as a person who's watching Star Trek, is Janeway tells the crew about something called the Prime Directive. Did you hear her say that?
I did. It's like the rules for the Federation.
Yeah, it's their rule. In fact, the Prime Directive, Jude, is their number one rule. And do you remember what she said that rule was?
Let other alien species come to you. Like let them evolve instead of you going to them.
Something like that. The real basic idea is, in fact, I wrote it down. She said that you're supposed to avoid interfering with other intelligent species to avoid interfering with their development. All right. Mm-hmm. So, and this is particularly true of civilizations that haven't developed warp travel. They're not supposed to go in and be like, hey, there's a bunch of aliens out here in space and we have all this cool technology. Like you don't do that. They have rules. So they have rules for how you introduce yourself to a new culture.
How are you supposed to?
Well, that is called first contact. The rules of the first time that they get contact with an alien species. And obviously in this episode, Dal and the crew, at the insistence of Nandi, just sort of buck all the rules and say, forget all that. We're just going to do it our own way. And do you think that what do we call them? The Chimeria? I think that's what Rock called them. The aliens. Yeah. Do you think they had a good first contact experience with the alien race?
No.
Do you think this maybe has messed up their culture?
Yeah.
And what they're going to try to do now? You know, because imagine here, what if all of a sudden aliens landed on Earth and made contact with everybody here and we all knew? Would that change how we do things and how we prioritize things here on Earth?
Yes.
Sure, it would. It would just the knowledge that they're out there would change how we do things here. Yeah. You know, and that's what you're not supposed to do over there. You have to be very careful going into those procedures. So just so you know, that's a huge thing. And that's something to be aware of going forward, is something called the Prime Directive. which is we don't interfere in other species development. We, and it's kind of what you said. We let them come meet us rather than us going to meet them when they're ready.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that they're ready
It could
before
be a couple thousand years in the future.
It could be. Now, that's not to say that we might not go kind of spy on them and look at them, but we want to observe them without them knowing who we are. And mostly that's for to see if they're ready yet. Are you ready to know what's going on out here?
How would you spy on them?
Well, in some cases they basically wear costumes and make themselves look like the people that are there and just kind of walk around. Don't tell them who you are. Just look and see and observe how their community behaves and interacts, and they have rules and there's all sorts of stuff that goes along with that. So anyway, Jude, why don't we get into what are some things we learned? We've had questions that we say every week we go forward. I wonder what's going on here. I wonder what's going on there. Did you learn anything new about our characters or about the protostar or about the world that we're finding Prodigy in?
Yes. The only reason why Dal met Gwen, Rock, Murf,
mm-hmm.
and Jankum,
mm-hmm.
The only way that was possible is because Nandi sold Dal to Diviner and bought herself a little robot thing.
Pickbox. So I think we find out a lot about Dal's backstory, his history, but honestly, I have a lot more questions now about Dal's backstory.
Me too.
But we find out I call her his space mom.
Yeah.
Space mom is a Ferengi, which is weird of all things. And you're right that he was sold into slavery. And I'm going to call it what it is. I think it was slavery. He was sold into that by her.
Yeah, and also, this is kind of a question, but I kind of want to say it right now while it's on my mind.
Okay.
Why did, so we know that, that was sold to the Diviner.
Yeah.
But when Nangi, whatever the heck her name is.
Nandi, yeah.
When she, sold them to the Diviner, did she sold them to, that guy?
You mean the Kazon guy that we saw at the very beginning?
Or did she sell them straight to the Diviner? But also that would be my question.
Yeah.
Who is this Diviner? She said at the end.
Yeah. So that I think is our clue, because she's like, we got to find out about this Diviner. So I don't think she sold Dal directly to the Diviner.
Do you think she sold it to Dreadnought?
Maybe to Dreadnought, maybe to that Kazon, or maybe to somebody else altogether who turned around and sold him off to the Diviner. Yeah. So I think that's the clue that kind of tells us what it is, but that could be a question going forward.
Right. Yeah. And another thing.
Oh, hold on. Just let's wrap up that conversation first.
Yeah.
Because later we talk, we're going to talk about some questions we have going forward. I think we need the rest of Dal's backstory now.
Yeah.
Was he from the Alpha Quadrant? Like, how did Nandi get in touch with him or get him? Did she just pick him up along the way? How did she sell him? How did he wind up over with the Diviner? Like, I feel like there's all sorts of adventures of young Dal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like next episode should be like a whole thing of Dal, small Dal.
Small Dal, little Dal.
Yeah.
There you go.
Young Link, young Dal.
Young Dal. There you go. I like it.
Okay. So.
Did you say young Link?
Yeah.
Little Zelda reference there. Yeah. I like it. Okay. Go ahead.
And Dreadnought just destroyed the crew.
Oh, the original crew. Yeah. We saw Janeway as she was kind of trying to remember what happened with Chakotay and everything, right? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden the thing opens up and it certainly looked like Dreadnought.
Yeah.
There.
But but one thing that was different is he had like a thing over his shoulders that looked different.
Yeah. So was it really Dreadnought or was it somebody else?
So maybe the crew of the original crew of the Protostar was is it back at the planet?
So the Tars Lamora?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to understand that was Dreadnought and not somebody else, although they certainly could come back and tell us that it's somebody else, but I think it's supposed to be Dreadnought. And he had something to do with the capture of the first crew, and Janeway was like, "Oh, what is he? What's going on?"
Yeah, maybe because they know that the Federation is so dangerous. So maybe they have like Chipotle. Where did I get that in my head? Maybe Chakotay and the original crew are like in like a prison in Rev 12.
Oh, you think they might be in Rev 12 instead of back on the mining colony?
Yeah, because they know that the Federation is so dangerous.
Oh, interesting. That could be. Okay. We're kind of getting into things, things we might think might happen next week or questions we have going forward. But I think these two things, sometimes when you learn things, it just spurns new questions.
Yeah.
And spurns new ideas. Yeah, definitely. I mean, those are what I have. Dal was raised by a Ferengi named Nandi. So how did Dal come in contact with Nandi? We learned that Chimerium makes cloaking devices work.
Yeah.
And that's why they're mining that. Dreadnought had something to do with the first crew. And I think all of those just give me I need more information of what happened next, right?
Yeah.
All right, Jude, did you have anything else as far as things you learned, questions you had going forward? And I'll even go ahead and throw it to you. What do you think might happen next week?
Or questions we have?
Yeah.
The crystal. How did they know that the crystal was there? Well, if nobody was if it's never had first contact, then how did they know that there was crystals?
Ooh, how did Nandi know that the crystals were down there if they've never? Ooh, Jude, you might have just discovered what's called a plot hole. That's a plot when you go, wait, if this is true, then how did that ever happen in the first place? Uh-oh, we need to know, Prodigy writers.
Mess up. Maybe
they might have an answer for it.
Yeah, how did the castle come up from the ground?
You're going like way back. How did the Rev 12 come out of the ground? You're going all the way back to like episode 1, right?
No.
Oh, you mean in this episode?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jude. You're right.
Did when it like the castle was coming out of the ground, was it sand that was just forming, and as it was forming, the top would be pushing out? Or was it just underground and it was like coming out like the new castle from the first Voltron series?
Right.
Like was it being made right there and then, or?
That's a good question, because they talked about Gwen talked about when they got down there that they use sound waves, the harmonics of the crystals and stuff, in order to make all those tunnels and build those walls. So maybe they were building it right then and there, using those crystals underground. So that's entirely possible. That'd be kind of cool. I doubt we'll ever get back to know what the function of that is, but it was kind of neat to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Jude, why don't we?
No, I have one more.
Ooh, hit it. Lay it on me. Engage. Make it so. Go. Let's fly.
You done with the?
What you got, bub?
Okay. At the end, when they're in the bridge, everybody leaves except for Gwen. Why did everybody leave?
I think everybody was going back to their room or whatever, because they had no reason to stay there. But I believe in television world, they needed Gwen to be on the bridge alone to have a moment, so they gave everybody an exit.
Like everybody leaves on the stage with Hamilton to see the king.
Yeah.
You'll be back.
All right, Jude. Why don't we round the corner here on this one then? Talk to me about, what do you think the lesson of this is? Star Trek is always trying to teach us something. It's always trying to give us
trust.
Explain. What do you mean? Like,
you have to know who you trust. You can't go around and this person says like, hey, you give me this, I'll give you this. You can't always trust them with everything. You have to know who you're trusting. You have to know that they will always tell the truth for you. Like, you have to know that you're trusting.
So like in this episode where Dal kind of trusted Nandi, although we were told the whole time he didn't really trust her. He was kind of nervous about it the whole time, right?
Yeah.
But what he did learn was he could trust his friends.
Yep.
Right. But he also broke Janeway's trust, which was sad. And now maybe he's got to get it back or something of that nature. So yeah, you gotta, can I maybe refine that a little bit for you, Jude?
Sure.
How about be careful who you trust?
Yeah. Right? Yeah, I was in my head. I just couldn't think of it.
Yeah, just be careful who you trust. Like Dal knew he couldn't trust Nandi, right? Like he knew like this is a bad idea the whole time. He was thinking, and Zero told us like his brain's conflicted. He doesn't want to trust her. He shouldn't trust her. But Dal sort of put that aside and went with it anyway, mostly because of the past and the history they have. And Jude, I got to tell you, buddy, as you grow up, you may come in contact with some friends, people who are friends with you for a while, who are not necessarily good people and are not necessarily good influences. And you may come to a spot one day where you go, you know what? That's probably not the best person for me to be around. All right. And I'm not trying to speak that over you just as much much as that happens to a lot of people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you come back in contact with those people years later,
they've changed.
They might have, and they might not have. And you've got to be really careful because there is a reason you needed to get away from them in the first place.
Like,
you know
who
what I mean?
you trust. Like, for all the little kids out there, if your parents haven't told you yet, if there's like an adult that you don't know that's saying, hey, come get candy, don't trust them. Run away and go to your mom and dad and say, this guy is trying to give me stuff that I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm. What if that person comes to you and says, hey, your mom told me to come get you, or your mom told me that I could give you this candy?
Don't.
Should you trust them even then?
No,
absolutely not.
I mean, if I was at least a teenager, I'd say, okay, then what's their name?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. And Jude, thanks for putting that out there, man. That's great for all your fellow kids to know. Can I give you one more lesson? I think that the show is trying to really teach us. Follow the rules.
Yep.
Rules exist for a reason. The rules of first contact were there for a reason. And Dow decided to basically ignore them, and it got him in trouble, not just because he broke the rule, but because it actually wound up hurting somebody else.
I know.
And in this case, the Chimera aliens. So, or Chris, whatever their names were. I forget. Yeah. But it wound up hurting those people. And that's the thing, Jude. The rules that mom and I have for you and your sister are not because we're trying to control you. It's because we're trying to help you stay safe, help you keep other people safe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And allow you to actually go out and have a good time without having to worry about all this other stuff. So follow the rules. They exist for a reason.
Yeah, they do.
All right, Jude. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us here this week on Murf's Turf. Did you have anything else from this week's episode? Any other predictions you want to make, or just any other, final thoughts concerning first contact?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Fair enough. Well, Jude, I think that's going to do it for us this week here at Murf's Turf. Just a reminder, folks, if you guys want to get in touch with us, you can email us to murfsturfpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to read that on next week's episode. Or you can tweet at us at murfsturfpod, or leave us a rating and review. We'd appreciate any and all of those. Jude, next week's episode, time amok. I can't wait for it. Until next time, bye guys. Bye, everybody. Wow, that cut off real fast.
Murf.